So Child of Light is Ubisoft Montreal's modern take on the classic 16-bit JRPG that we fell in love with throughout the 90s. You know, games like Final Fantasy VI and Chrono Trigger. And the thing about it is that it has a lot of depth to it, but at the same time, it's really open for anyone to play.
It's about a girl named Aurora, and it takes place in the year 1895 in Austria. But you really don't find yourself in the real Austria that you know and love. You really find yourself in a fairy tale kind of storybook setting, a fantasy setting that she finds herself in.
She wakes up in the land of Lemuria, and she has to find her way back to her family, or so she thinks. And from there, like all these RPGs typically do, what starts as a very small-scale personal quest of empowerment and self-discovery turns into something quite a bit more.
So a lot of games, whether or not they're role-playing games today, really emphasize, I guess, the fidelity of the game, the engine. How powerful is it? It's not so much about tech and power as much as it's about emotion. You can get those emotions from hand-drawing everything.
So Child of Light is built inside of the UbiArt framework, which was also used on Rayman Origins and Legends, and allowed Ubisoft to really have this handcrafted feel to the visuals. They were able to take, little sketches and drawings that they wanted to mimic old Amano drawings, who was the artist on old Final Fantasy games, and wanted to put those directly into the game.
We don't see games like this very often, and it does add an emotional element to the game because it makes it feel more like a storybook or a fairy tale as opposed to something that's real.
It's got this painterly, handcrafted aesthetic. You can almost see the painter's brushstrokes as you're walking through the environment and taking it all in. That really drives home the feeling of sentimentality that I think is at the core of the game.
Child of Light's one of those games that really makes you recall your childhood. It has the story of a girl as she's growing up and having to face the horrors of this new world. But at the same time, she meets these characters along the way that become your friends. It almost feels like the Wizard of Oz. The script is written in iambic pentameter, and so the entire thing is delivered with this amazing, poetic prose verse.
Once the sun shone upon a land of sequined valleys and peaks of white, and at night ruined castles glowed with alabaster light.
Well, that poetic design is just so different from the frameworks that we usually see storytellers work within in the game space. It gives Child of Light a sense and a feel and an arc that is completely unique and not like anything else that you've ever experienced.
The dialogue in Child of Light is almost Shakespearean. There's rhyming everywhere. And what this does is it gives it a kind of cadence. The game has a cadence, a story. You have to really read the dialogue and think about it, and it makes you want to think about it, and there's stuff hidden in all the nuance of the way it's written.
Writing is a thing that a lot of games sort of put in the back burner, but it's really front and center in Child of Light. Every time you encounter another character or you find these bits of poetry hidden throughout the environment, it really adds to the world in this really beautiful and immersive way.
The most fun thing about Child of Light is easily the combat system. It is one of the greatest combat systems in any RPG ever, and I've played a lot of RPGs in my time.
The great thing about Child of Light's battle system is that it's complicated but not convoluted. It's actually really simple in premise but super deep. The battle system is turn-based in a sort of traditional way, but you have to be really clever about it. You have to defend in order to kind of line up your attacks so that you can interrupt another character from attacking.
Timing matters, rhythm matters, and you have to keep your eyes on so many things at one time. I've never felt so mentally on, constantly in combat as I do in Child of Light.
So the thing about Child of Light's battle system that really stuck with me is the fact that it takes the ideas that were in games like Final Fantasy VI, but then adds an action element like found in Grandia 2 for the Dreamcast. And it really helps if you have two people playing. The second player is able to control your little sprite friend, and he's able to actually interact with the world and either stop enemies or collect items. It's really a great RPG cooperative experience.
So Child of Light is an awesome throwback that I think people are really going to enjoy if they like role-playing games and feel a little lost in the role-playing genre today, because it has the heart of the old Japanese role-playing games that we just don't have anymore. We had to look to Quebec in Canada to find it, not to Tokyo.
Between the amazing battle system, the gorgeous visuals, and the amazing writing, it's really one of those 15-hour RPGs that'll just stick with you for a long time.
If there's only one reason I could pick to say why Child of Light is our game of the month, it's because it's the first game that I've played in a really long time where not a single design decision or artistic decision feels like it was made to appeal to the broadest possible audience. It feels like a work that was created because the people who created it needed to, and they just needed to get it out there. And that's what makes great art, and that's what makes great games.